An army of lions commanded by a deer will never be an army of lions. Impatience is a great obstacle to success. He who treats everything with brusqueness gathers nothing, or only immature fruit which will never ripen. A woman laughing is a woman conquered. Half of the people in the world are below average. In politics, never retreat, never retract, never admit a mistake. The stupid speak of the past, the wise of the present, and fools of the future. After making a mistake or suffering a misfortune, the man of genius always gets back on his feet. Adversity is the midwife of genius. The art of being sometimes audacious and sometimes very prudent is the secret of success. There are only two forces that unite men, fear and interest. The world suffers a lot. Not because the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. Give me an educated mother, I shall promise you the birth of a civilized, educated nation. History is written by the winners. A man will fight harder for his interests than for his rights. No one but myself can be blamed for my fall. I have been my own greatest enemy, the cause of my own disastrous fate. On victory, you deserve beer. On defeat, you need it. The best way to keep one's word is not to give it. I would rather have a general who was lucky than one who was good. I fear 3 newspapers more than 100,000 bayonets. Show me a family of readers, and I will show you the people who move the world. Nothing is lost as long as courage remains. How many things apparently impossible have nevertheless been performed by resolute men who had no alternative but death? Victory is not always winning the battle, but rising every time you fall. You don't reason with intellectuals. You shoot them. Un croquis vaut mieux tuer. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. The reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment. Courage isn't having the strength to go on, it is going on when you don't have strength. If you wish to be a success in the world, promise everything, deliver nothing. It is not necessary to bury the truth. It is sufficient merely to delay it until nobody cares. The world is not ruined by the wickedness of the wicked, but by the weakness of the good. Until you spread your wings, you'll have no idea how far you can fly. The best way to make everyone poor is to insist on equality of wealth. Impossible is the word found only in a fool's dictionary. Wise people create opportunities for themselves and make everything possible. The only way to lead people is to show them a future. A leader is a dealer in hope. The Jews are the master robbers of the modern age. The amateurs discuss tactics, the professionals discuss logistics. Victory belongs to the most persevering. The purpose of religion is to keep the poor from killing the rich. Friends must always be treated as if one day they might be enemies. Envy is a declaration of inferiority. Once you have made up your mind, stick to it. There is no longer any if, or, but. 6 hours sleep for a man, 7 for a woman, and 8 for a fool. The people to fear are not those who disagree with you, but those who disagree with you and are too cowardly to let you know. If I were to give liberty to the press, my power could not last 3 days. I base my calculation on the expectation that luck will be against me. You become strong by defying defeat and by turning loss into gain and failure to success. The fool has one great advantage over a man of sense: he is always satisfied with himself. To have a right estimate of a man's character, we must see him in misfortune. I see only my objective, the obstacles must give way. Terrorism, war and bankruptcy are caused by the privatization of money, issued as a debt and compounded by interest. Men who have changed the world never achieved their success by winning the chief citizens to their side, but always by stirring the masses. Never ascribe to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Anarchy is the stepping stone to absolute power. Every hour of lost time is a chance of future misfortune. In politics, stupidity is not a handicap. History is a set of lies agreed upon. God is on the side with the best artillery. The best cure for the body is a quiet mind. The surest way to remain poor is to be an honest man. War is 90% information. In war, as in prostitution, amateurs are often better than professionals. You must not fight too often with one enemy, or you will teach him all your art of war. France always has plenty men of talent, but it is always deficient in men of action and high character. He who knows how to flatter also knows how to slander. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Death is nothing, but to live defeated and inglorious is to die daily. Moses has revealed the existence of God to his nation. Jesus Christ to the Roman world, Muhammad to the old continent. To understand the men you have to know what was happening in the world when he was 20. When people cease to complain, they cease to think. Men are more easily governed through their vices than through their virtues. An order that can be misunderstood, will be misunderstood. Whatever you ardently and passionately desire, that you obtain. 10 people who speak make more noise than 10,000 who are silent. The leader's role is to define reality, then give hope. Courage cannot be counterfeited. It is one virtue that escapes hypocrisy. Love is the occupation of the idle man, the amusement of a busy one, and the shipwreck of a sovereign. A true man hates no one. Never tell your enemy he is doing the wrong thing. Act swiftly and vigorously, without buts and ifs. Great men are meteors designed to burn so that earth may be lighted. You cannot lead a battle if you think you look silly on a horse. When you set out to take Vienna, take Vienna. One should never forbid what one lacks the power to prevent. The strong man is the one who is able to intercept at will the communication between the senses and the mind. If you know a country's geography, you can understand and predict its foreign policy. I have so often been mistaken that I no longer blush for it. The superior man is never in anyone's way. Power is what they like, it is the greatest of all aphrodisiacs. Religion is what keeps the poor from murdering the rich. True wisdom, in general, consists in energetic determination. Over-preparation is the foe of inspiration. My success and everything good that I have done, I owe to my mother. Opportunities. I make opportunities. Success is the most convincing talker in the world. A man becomes the creature of his uniform. You think you are too intelligent to believe in God. I am not like you. When I had the honor to be a second lieutenant, I ate dry bread, but I never let anyone know that I was poor. The Mohammedan religion is the finest of all. Clever policy consists in making nations believe they are free. It is only by prudence, wisdom, and dexterity that great ends are attained and obstacles overcome. Without these qualities nothing succeeds. It is the success which makes great men. The human race is governed by its imagination. Better to have an open enemy than hidden friends. Imagination rules the world. To live is to suffer, and the honest man is always fighting to be master of his own mind. The more I study the world, the more I am convinced of the inability of brute force to create anything durable. Those who have changed the universe have never done it by changing officials, but always by inspiring the people. There is no place in a fanatic's head where reason can enter. Impossible is a word to be found only in the dictionary of fools. He who fears being conquered is sure of defeat. Riches do not consist in the possession of treasures, but in the use made of them. What is the government? Nothing, unless supported by opinion. Mankind's worst enemy is fear of work. The art of war is to gain time when your strength is inferior. It requires more courage to suffer than to die. Nature intended women to be our slaves. They are our property. There is one kind of robber whom the law does not strike at, and who steals what is most precious to men, time. Lies circle the earth while truth is still trying to put on its shoes. Occupation is the scythe of time. I have made all the calculations, fate will do the rest. Strangers are just friends waiting to happen. To become a good man, one must have faithful friends, or outright enemies. The greatest general is he who makes the fewest mistakes. A leader is a dealer in hope. Rascality has limits, stupidity has not. One must change one's tactics every 10 years if one wishes to maintain one's superiority. The only conquests that are permanent and leave no regrets are our conquests over ourselves. I would rather suffer with coffee than be senseless. Love is the idler's occupation, the warrior's relaxation, and the sovereign's ruination. All the women in the world would not make me lose an hour. Give me a Turkish army. I will conquer world. One is more certain to influence men, to produce more effect on them, by absurdities than by sensible ideas. Ability is noting without opportunity. A man is known by his conduct to his wife, to his family, and to those under him. If you want to get on in this world, make many promises, but don't keep them. Who saves his country violates no law. To be believed, make the truth unbelievable. The future destiny of a child is always the work of the mother. Medicine is a collection of uncertain prescriptions, the results of which, taken collectively, are more fatal than useful to mankind. Men take only their needs into consideration, never their abilities. I have only one counsel for you, be master. We walk faster when we walk alone. Remember, gentlemen, what a Roman emperor said, The corpse of an enemy always smells sweet. Speeches pass away, but acts remain. My business is to succeed, and I'm good at it. I create my Iliad by my actions, create it day by day. Throw off your worries when you throw off your clothes at night. A government protected by foreigners will never be accepted by a free people. The battlefield is a scene of constant chaos. The winner will be the one who controls that chaos, both his own and the enemy's. Courage is like love, it must have hope for nourishment. When a government is dependent upon bankers for money, they and not the leaders of the government control the situation. Knowledge and history are the enemies of religion. Force is the law of animals, men are ruled by conviction. Leave the artillerymen alone, they are an obstinate lot. The most dangerous moment comes with victory. There is no strength without justice. Among those who dislike oppression are many who like to oppress. There is no such thing as an accident, only a failure to recognize the hand of fate. A society without religion is like a vessel without compass. The greater the man, the less is he opinionative, he depends upon events and circumstances. To make yourself understood to people, one must first speak to their eyes. The secret of war lies in the communications. Chess is too difficult to be a game and not serious enough to be a science or an art. The strong are good, only the weak are wicked. America is a fortunate country. She grows by the follies of our European nations. Those who failed to oppose me, who readily agreed with me and accepted all my views, were those who did me the most injury. Glory is fleeting, but obscurity is forever. God has given me the will and the force to overcome all obstacles. Better live a king than a prince. Insubordination may only be the evidence of a strong mind. Nothing is more arrogant than the weakness which feels itself supported by power. Space we can recover, time never. There shall be no Alps. Vengeance is without foresight. Champagne. In victory, one deserves it, in defeat one needs it. Women are nothing but machines for producing children. I may lose a battle, but I will never lose a minute. A beautiful woman like eyes, and a good heart, one is a beautiful thing, and other treasures. Liberty and equality are magical words. The great difficulty with politics is that there are no established principles. My downfall raises me to infinite heights. Oh well, no matter what happens, there's always death. I want the whole of Europe to have one currency, it will make trading much easier. A constitution should be short and obscure. It would be a joke if the conduct of the victor had to be justified to the vanquished. Religion is excellent stuff for keeping common people quiet. I like honest men of all colors. It is with artillery that war is made. Governments keep their promises only when they are forced, or when it is to their advantage to do so. There is a joy in danger. Nothing is more difficult, and therefore more precious, than to be able to decide. Men are moved by two levers only, fear and self-interest. War is the business of barbarians. Put your iron hand in a velvet glove. Great men are meteors, consuming themselves to light the world. To extraordinary circumstance we must apply extraordinary remedies. Great men grow tired of contentedness. The worse the man, the better the soldier. Treason is a matter of dates. Here, gentlemen, a dog teaches us a lesson in humanity. The only victory over love is flight. The heart may be broken, and the soul remain unshaken. We often get in quicker by the back door than by the front. Great men are never cruel without necessity. The bullet that will kill me is not yet cast. A good sketch is better than a long speech. Kiss the feet of popes provided their hands are tied. In war there is but one favorable moment, the great art is to seize it. Fools have a great advantage over the wise, they are always self-satisfied. Men are never attached to you by favors. Order marches with weighty and measured strides. Disorder is always in a hurry. Time is the great art of men. When you have an enemy in your power, deprive him of the means of ever injuring you. In order not to be astonished at obtaining victories, one ought not to think only of defeats. You don't govern men who don't have religion, you shoot them. In a great nation, the majority are incapable of judging wisely of things. It is the cause, not the death, that makes the martyr. He that makes war without many mistakes has not made war very long. Generals who save troops for the next day are always beaten. We should always go before our enemies with confidence, otherwise our apparent uneasiness inspires them with greater boldness. Men are ruled by toys. Great ambition is the passion of a great character. We must laugh at men to avoid crying for him. The object of war is victory, the object of victory is conquest, and the object of conquest is occupation. In war as in love, to bring matters to a close, you must get close together. The great art of governing consists in not letting men grow old in their jobs. War must be made as intense and awful as possible in order to make it short, and thus to diminish its horrors. Forethought we may have, undoubtedly, but not foresight. The secret of great battles consists in knowing how to deploy and concentrate at the right time. The most desirable quality in a soldier is constancy in the support of fatigue, valor is only secondary. The act of policing is, in order to punish less often, to punish more severely. I saw the crown of France laying on the ground, so I picked it up with my sword. When firmness is sufficient, rashness is unnecessary. A man who has no consideration for the needs of his men ought never to be given command. When your enemy is doing something wrong, do not interrupt him. It's the people who are in the wrong who get angry. Vengeance has no foresight. Flatterers and men of learning do not accord well with each other. Providence is always on the side of the last reserve. You must not fear death, my lads, defy him, and you drive him into the enemy's ranks. The greatest ornament of an illustrious life is modesty and humility, which go a great way in the character even of the most exalted princes. A revolution is an idea which has found its bayonets. Never interfere with an enemy in the process of destroying himself. Character is victory organized. Ability is nothing without opportunity. A general must be a charlatan. In war you see your own troubles, those of the enemy you cannot see. You must show confidence. There is no real force without justice. It's not the size of the army but the power within the army. Let her sleep, for when she wakes, she will shake the world. All religions have been made by men. Be successful. I judge men only by the results of their actions. Good and decent people must be protected and persuaded by gentle means, but the rabble must be led by terror. Public opinion is the thermometer a monarch should constantly consult. Where the government is weak, military sway prevails. I have fought 60 battles, and I have learnt nothing which I did not know at the beginning. Wherever flowers cannot be reared, there men cannot live. A nation recruits men more easily than it can retrieve its honor. War is a lottery in which nations ought to risk nothing but small amounts. Skepticism is a virtue in history as well as in philosophy. In revolution there are only two sorts of men, those who cause them and those who profit by them. The admiral needs only one science, that of navigation. The general needs all the sciences. Take time to deliberate, but when the time for action has arrived, stop thinking and go in. We are either kings or pawns of men. In order that a people may be free, it is necessary that the governed be sages, and those who govern, gods. Since the discovery of printing, knowledge has been called to power, and power has been used to make knowledge a slave. I engage and after that I see what to do. History is the invention of historians. War justifies everything. I am sometimes a fox and sometimes a lion. The whole secret of government lies in knowing when to be the one or the other. The truest wisdom is a resolute determination. One can lead a nation only by helping it see a bright outlook. A leader is a dealer in hope. The law, that is what makes men stay honest. In my youth I, too, entertained some illusions, but I soon recovered from them. The reason I beat the Austrians is, they did not know the value of 5 minutes. A starving army is actually worse than none. To command, you must first of all speak to the eyes. It is an approved maxim in war, never to do what the enemy wishes you to do, for this reason alone, that he desires it. I cannot believe there is a God who punishes and rewards, for I see honest folk unlucky, and rogues unlucky. O man, man! How despicable in slavery, how great when fired with the love of freedom! To have good soldiers, a nation must always be at war. Music is the voice that tells us that the human race is greater than it knows. There are so many laws that no one is safe from hanging. The Bible is no mere book, but a living creature, with a power that conquers all that oppose it. A faithful friend is the true image of the deity. Hereditary succession to the magistracy is absurd, as it tends to make a property of it. It is incompatible with the sovereignty of the people. The torment of precautions often exceeds the dangers to be avoided. It is sometimes better to abandon oneself to destiny. There is only one favorable moment in war. Talent consists in knowing how to seize it. The first virtue in a soldier is endurance of fatigue. Courage is only the second virtue. He who practices right, but in the hope of acquiring great renown, is very near to vice. Christ alone has succeeded in so raising the mind of man toward the unseen, that it becomes insensible to the barriers of time and space. Nothing is more destructive than the charge of artillery on a crowd. All the great captains have performed vast achievements by conforming with the rules of art, by adjusting efforts to obstacles. A great people may be killed, but they cannot be intimidated. When small men attempt great enterprises, they always end by reducing them to the level of their mediocrity. The art of choosing men is not nearly so difficult as the art of enabling those chosen to attain their full worth. You cannot stop me. I spend 30,000 men a month. The French complain of everything and always. No amount of money will induce someone to lay down their life, but they will gladly do so for a bit of yellow ribbon. The worse the man, the better the soldier. If soldiers be not corrupt, they ought to be made so. Promptly improve your accidents. True heroism consists in rising superior to misfortune. I have never loved anyone for love's sake except, perhaps, Josephine, a little. More glorious to merit a scepter than to possess one. In war, 3/4 turns on personal character and relations. The balance of manpower and materials counts only for the remaining quarter. Reconnaissance memoranda should always be written in the simplest style and be purely descriptive. They should never stray from their objective by introducing extraneous ideas. Remember that a true man, never hates. His rages and his bad moods never last beyond the present moment like electric shocks. You may ask me for anything you like except time. Whatever shall we do in that remote spot? Well, we will write our memoirs. Work is the scythe of time. The people excited by ambitious demagogues, sooner or later return into the hands of the aristocracy. Generals are not to be too scrupulous. If the earth were a single state, Istanbul would be its capital. I drink champagne when I win, to celebrate, and I drink champagne when I lose, to console myself. Put a rogue in the limelight and he will act like an honest man. My enemies make appointments at my tomb. Doctors will have more lives to answer for in the next world than even we generals. We may stop ourselves when going up, never when coming down. The greatest danger occurs at the moment of victory. Greatness be nothing unless it be lasting. I treat policies like war. I hoodwink one flank so as to trounce the other. In my family we kneel only to God. Ordinarily men exercise their memory much more than their judgment. A man like me troubles himself little about 1,000,000 men. History is a myth that men agree to believe. The Turks can be killed, but they can never be conquered. In our time no one has the conception of what is great. It is up to me to show them. Water, air, and cleanness are the chief articles in my pharmacy. There is no such thing as accident, it is fate misnamed. I start out by believing the worst. The process of quitting smoking doesn't end with the last cigarette. It's not quitting itself, the real key is staying quit. Nothing is so important in war as an undivided command. That man made me miss my destiny.